My co-founder built an Instagram account for a business to about 30,000 followers. And we've seen that's been really great at top of funnel for both user growth and for finding businesses to buy advertising slots with us. And she's actually my sister.
Okay, today on the Business Blitz podcast, we're here with Dustin Rowe. Dustin, can you give us a quick background on yourself and your business?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Dustin Rowe. I run the company Check What's Good. We are a consumer information hub. So it all starts with an AI scraping tool that pulls together all the events, all the fun things to do in a city, puts in one simple interface. It's easy to scroll and discover and kind of see what's going on. A little bit about my background. I come from big tech. I used to lead a team of 19 software developers and was in the pharmaceutical space and just saw a lot of greed going around. Didn't love the pharmaceutical space, didn't want to be there for my future. So I started thinking about, how do I pair my love of software with a problem that I can actually go out and solve? Started thinking about like, what problem do, me and my friends run into? And realized that, we live in St. Petersburg, Florida, which is a pretty happening city. My friends are fairly affluent enough that we can go and do stuff. But yet it felt like we fell into repetition of the same week doing the same things over and over again. Go to the same restaurant for dinner on Monday, go to the same trivia night on Tuesday at the same bar, just happening week in and week out. And then I'd see on social media at the end of the week, like, oh, there's this really cool pop-up concert or, some sort of festival happening that I had no clue until after it happened. So I wanted to go out and build a tool that's a little bit more proactive in finding things to do and putting it in a simple interface that you can scroll and discover.
That's awesome. And yeah, I definitely feel the same thing. I feel like often I do the same stuff every week or every weekend. So yeah, that's great. Can you tell me a little bit more about the AI tool, maybe at a higher level? We don't have to get too down in the weeds, but how does this AI tool work?
Sure. Yeah. So it kind of starts with the idea of web scraping, which isn't a new idea, right? That's been around for probably 10 years, just collecting information from different websites. But the key piece here is that we use AI to normalize all of that data. So we look at about 80 different websites. We're pulling information from every one of those websites. That information all looks very different. So what we do is we feed that all into an AI that can normalize all of that data together. And then it does some other things like it'll generate images if we need them. It'll rewrite descriptions. It'll add tags and keywords. So there's this AI component behind the scenes. The underlying technology is this scraping, which kind of already exists. But this whole idea of pulling together information from 80 different websites wasn't doable until the use of AI.
Yeah, that's awesome. How long did it take you to build that tool?
So let's see, I think the initial AI was maybe like 4 months, and we are using like a third-party provider that helps with kind of the scraping piece of it. So it's partially their code, partially ours that we've added on to it. But I would say about 4 months to get that piece up and running. And then of course we have like our entire interface that's built around it, which took about 4 months as well. I have a co-founder, Mohammed Hassan, who's an amazing developer, and he pretty much does full stack. So he created like the database structure, created the interface, all of that good stuff. Because with, if we just have like event data and information, that's not really valuable unless we have a really seamless experience for people to kind of scroll and discover. And so it's those two components that, we're built together to make this come to life.
So like, how do you measure success? So you measure success with users, with also your monetization strategy. How are you monetizing this platform? Talk a little bit about success and monetization.
Yeah, so we're in the middle of a little bit of pivot right now. And the idea was build a Check What's Good, launch it in every single city. But then we're a software company and a content company. And so kind of what we're looking to do in the future is white label the software out to other cities so other people can run their own version of Check What's Good, have their name and branding on it, but use all of our underlying technology. So what success looks like right now is proving that our consumer platform works really well. And that other people would want to use it as their underlying software rather than like a WordPress. They could use, the Check What's Good to build their city information hub. Primary customers being tourism groups. And then also there's this kind of like newsletter bro movement right now. A lot of people are doing these local newsletters and are making pretty decent money with it, but they just have like an email newsletter. This would allow them to create like an entire immersive ecosystem of a city information hub, which is kind of like an add-on to their newsletter. So for any of that stuff to happen, we need to prove that what we have works really well first and that users love it and that we can create revenue from it. So we're launched in 2 cities right now, and it's really about making sure that those come to life. For success metrics, we're looking at number of users is important, but also number of returning users is actually a more important stat, because we want to see that people are using it and they're continually coming back and revisiting the platform. That really proves that we're getting value. Because if you're just looking at number of new users, you can fake that stat pretty well, right? You can just throw money into Google ads or Facebook ads, and you can increase that top of funnel extremely easily. But proving that the software works is all about returning users. So that's kind of our main goal right now. In terms of monetization, it's just ads right now. So we have different spots where we can advertise, whether it be like on the homepage, we advertise sometimes on, we have like a social media aspect to it as well. And then within each category, so within events, within coffee shops, within restaurants, within bars, there's spots to advertise on all of those as well.
Exciting, man. That's really exciting. So I want to talk about like your process to acquire clients. Obviously, in an early stage startup, pretty much the toughest part is finding customers, finding clients. So how do you find, I guess in your case, users? What is your process to acquire users?
My co-founder, and she's actually my sister, Megan. She is a social media guru. She's built an Instagram account for a business to about 30,000 followers. And we've seen that's been really great at top of funnel for both user growth and for finding businesses to buy advertising slots with us. She's almost like a little pseudo celebrity she's in Wilmington, North Carolina. And people kind of like see her and associate that with our business. So she creates videos that go out on Instagram, and it might be like, you know, reviewing my favorite coffee shop, or like, here's 10 fun things to do this weekend. Post those on social media. And that's where a lot of people are just kind of scrolling and discovering. And they realize, oh, there's this cool company, Check What's Good, that actually finds this information for me. And again, they see it through Instagram, but then they end up going to our website, they bookmark it. We have a feature where they can add it to their home screen if they're on iPhone. It kind of looks like the rest of their apps, and that's a great way to keep people in the ecosystem. So I would say Instagram has been really great for top of funnel, and we'll even find businesses that will message us through there and say, how do we work with you? Or they go to our website, we have a form that's like how to advertise with us. So most of our business leads have been inbound, and our users, I would say, primarily social media.
Great. Yeah, because one of my questions that I ask in every single podcast is, like, what are your thoughts on using social media to grow your business? It looks like it's already a pivotal aspect of growing Check What's Good.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because like I'm very much like a software guy. I'm not, really the face of any social media right now. And when my sister came on, she was basically like, hey, let me try to run Check What's Good in my city because I think it's cool. I was like, yeah, sure, like absolutely. And then she was like, I want to make an Instagram account for this and start posting some stuff. And I kind of had a conversation like, do you really think that that's like going to be important? Do you really think that's the best way to get users? She ended up convincing me that it is, and it's worked absolute wonders. And now I'm fully on board with the Instagram, TikTok led growth specifically for what I'm doing, but I know it's applicable in a lot of businesses as well. So I've kind of had my eyes open to the social media stuff a little bit more recently.
Yeah, I love social media from a distribution point of things, driving leads toward paid offerings. I'm a huge advocate for it. That's why I started a content agency myself, to do that for other people. So big fan of that. So have you ever started any other businesses before Check What's Good, or is this your first one?
So I've started a couple of businesses. The earliest one I remember is I was like maybe 11 or 12 years old, and I used to go basically like swimming in the country club creeks, like after hours, scoop a bunch of golf balls, take them home, put them in the dishwasher, clean them up, and I would sell them on Craigslist. And that's where I got like my first ever taste of being an entrepreneur. And I was like, this is awesome. Like I can create my own value. Like I can do this on my own. I don't need like to have a boss. I think ever since then, I've always wanted to, be a founder, be an entrepreneur. And then my first kind of real company I launched, I was 20 years old. It was right when I was graduating college. I guess I would have been 21. I built a influencer marketing app with a couple other co-founders as well. Essentially what it did is it was a marketplace for brands to find influencers. So like say, for example, if you're Nike, you could, and say you have like a new shoe coming out, you could create a campaign to highlight your new shoe and basically shop for influencers as if you're shopping on Amazon. So we're built on top of like Instagram connects to their API, so you could search by like number of followers of an influencer. You could see where their followers are based out of, their engagement rates. Then you could kind of add them to your cart, add them to your campaign, and then create your campaign and kind of send offers to work together. So it was a bit of like a matchmaking platform. And I think I learned just a lot about how to make a company work during that process and how to build a tech startup and how to get, an app out there. So it was a really fun experience.
That sounds like an unbelievable idea. What ended up happening to it?
So again, that was right when I was graduating college, and my co-founders, we all had like full-time jobs that we were kind of focused on. And then this was a little bit of more of like a side project. And it was cool to even get something launched with like everyone working the real jobs and finally being out in the real world and just kind of doing this on the side. So I was proud of the fact that we got it launched. We had about 3,000 influencers and 500 businesses that were using the app. So decent traction there. But I think, we were so new to the world of startups that we didn't quite know where to focus. So I think we put too much effort in just building the product. And we built like this amazing product, amazing functionality, but we didn't really have like a dedicated sales effort or sales approach or thinking about making revenue. It was just like, let's keep building features and building features and building features. And eventually we kind of got worn out by it and weren't able to take it to the next level. So it was something where, it wasn't, looking back, wasn't like a huge success, but I think what I learned from that process is really helping me this time around. And some of my co-founders from that startup as well are on to big things. One of my co-founders just raised a 16 million Series A. He's got a big startup in New York City. And the other one does a skincare startup. And she was just had one of her products on Taylor Swift at one of Taylor Swift concerts. So like they've blown up recently. And then my third co-founder in that process at that startup is Mohammed, who's now working on this with me again. So I kind of almost look at it as like, people talk about the PayPal mafia of like these like founders that like end up going their separate ways and being really successful. And I like hope that's kind of what happens with Mefluence was the startup, was kind of like our first taste of entrepreneurship and setting us all up for success in the future.
Wow. That's a really cool story. 16 million. That's crazy. That's a big Series A or solid Series A. So awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. That's really cool. So I want to know about I don't know if you've had any investments you've made in your career so far, but has there been a best investment you've made that has been, giving you the greatest return?
I think about it most in terms of like investing in myself, which I think is a skill that a lot of entrepreneurs maybe don't realize they need, but will end up needing. It's the fact that like, you kind of control everything for your business, right? As the CEO or as a co-founder. And if you're not at the top of your game, that's going to trickle down to the rest of the company. And so I do a lot of kind of focusing on myself, making sure I eat healthy, meditating every day, reading, focused on continuous improvement. And I think it does take a sincere investment to carve out time to focus on yourself, because I know us as entrepreneurs, we want to just always be building the business. But if you're not investing in yourself, then I think that ends up hurting the business long term. So I'd say that's kind of one investment that I really try to focus on.
Interesting you mentioned that. What exactly does that look like, that investment in yourself? Because I think a lot of listeners might hear that and be like, okay, yeah, I definitely want to invest in myself, but they might not know how to do that. So what does that look like to you?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it all starts with like a morning routine or being kind of disciplined. And so one of the things that I mentioned is I meditate every day for 7 minutes. And it's not just like, laying in my bed or like, I'm in the car and I'm kind of pretending to meditate. It's like sitting down on my yoga mat 7 minutes every day. Phone notifications are off, set a timer, and just being disciplined to make that happen. One of the ways that I kind of force discipline is through habit tracking. So I have like this whiteboard where I'm writing down all of my habits, and I look at it every day and I'm trying to check off all of those habits. Like on there I have meditating, reading, practicing gratitude, journaling, doing cardio, and then lifting weights. And so like these are key focuses that I think if I'm doing these things, I'm investing in myself, I'm growing as a person. Then having that like physical reminder in my space of the whiteboard that I'm looking at on a daily basis really helps to, be very actionable and making sure I, keep accountability to those things.
Awesome. That's great. I'm a big whiteboard guy myself. Great stuff. Okay, Dustin, if our listeners want to hear more from you, learn more about you and what you offer at your company, where can we learn?
Yeah, I think the best thing that you can do is if you're in St. Pete or Wilmington, you can go to checkwhatsgood.com and you can be a user. You can explore the platform for yourself. You can find things to do. We're also launching email newsletters in every city. So if you're in the cities or even nearby, you can get an email every or 2 days a week with just like, here's the top things happening in the city. If you want to reach out to me personally, you can follow me on Twitter at Dustin's Mind and interact with me that way.
Thanks for sharing that. We will drop a lot of those links in the comment below. If you want to connect with Dustin or check out his company, links in the comments below. Thanks for coming on, Dustin. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Colin.
Thanks for watching. If you found value in this video, click subscribe below for more business content just like this.